Hello and welcome back to Big Bear Review. I'm Mario.
I'm Romeo.
I am James.
And apparently order matters.
You wanted order? We're giving you that.
This week we will be reviewing James's pick, Wreck.
Yes.
Oh, he's wearing his bear ears now.
My ear beard.
James, could you please let us know what the plot of the movie is?
I'm going to start with Night of the Living Dead. We're doing them together.
Yeah, they're together.
Yeah, they're together.
So
It's the same review.
Okay.
So, we're doing
Lord.
Night of the Living Dead, and we're doing Wreck. So, we picked two movies because it's the month of Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
So, happy
Early
Halloween.
Halloween.
Happy
It's
Halloween.
early,
So, happy
but-
October. I hope you're all getting ready
Yeah.
for the hot nonsense that is going to be this month. Hopefully, some scary... Hopefully, we can do Halloween Horror Nights or something. It'd be fun.
I don't know if they're actually going to do those, though.
I think they are.
They're already done it.
They're already doing them.
They're already
Really?
doing them, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, maybe we can get to go to those. That'd be fun. I only got one. I went last time and it just rained. I was very sad for myself. I was soaked.
Oh, yeah.
Well, remember? I ruined my shoes. I was so pissed.
Oh, yeah.
So bad. And cold. I think I got sick after we went home. Anyways, we'll be reviewing Night of the Living Dead and Wreck. Both of these movies can be found on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Night of the Living Dead you can find on, I think it's Showtime?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it's on Showtime. So if you have the Showtime subscription, you can find it on there. And then Wreck is going to be on Prime, and you can rent it for $3.99.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest, even though it's kind of hard to get it, I would suggest buying the DVD or Blu-ray version because apparently, and it's weird in its algorithm or the digital version available. It's only the dub version for some reason, and the dub's pretty bad.
Yeah, the dub. Well, I watched the dub, and I mean, the movie is good regardless. I mean, but I think the dub takes you out of some of the experience of the movie. Yeah. I think the sub version, like, even though you have to read a lot of the dialogue and sometimes you have to pause because you're like, there's a lot going on, it's still the fact that those people were dealing with that at the time versus someone reading a script and saying, okay, and you need to feel scared, a little bit terrified, you're about to die, go. Feel that motion, but I think that the sub is way better. And I don't often say that. I really don't because I hate having to read subtitles.
All right.
Okay.
Do you want to introduce your Night of the Living Dead?
I will introduce it. So there are two Night of the Living Dead movies. The first one was in
1968.
1968 is the original black and white George A. Romero version, and then they redid it. They remade it in 1990. They are different in some ways, but very similar in others. It's about a woman and her brother who go to a cemetery to visit their mother's grave, and the brother's teasing her, and I'm sure everyone has heard this. They're coming to get you, Barbra. That's where it comes from. So if any idiot ever says that to you, that's where it comes from. And he's teasing her and everything, and then this guy walks up to her and scares the crap out of her because he's bleeding and has this flushed look on his face. You're like, oh, well, that's not good. He doesn't look like he's had a good day. And then off screen, out of nowhere, it's a zombie. It just attacks her and everything, and then she ends up escaping. The brother dies. And she runs really far. She's running for a hot minute, and she finds a farmhouse. And she goes in, and there's no one there, apparently, because no one's answering her. And then another zombie attacks, and then this guy named Ben shows up in a truck, and they meet, and then it's about them trying to survive the entire night. So there ends up being people in the basement and stuff like that, and there's a lot of racial tension there, obviously. If you've ever seen the original one, it's very similar to the same characters, a bigot. So after a while, they try to escape. That blows up in their face. And it ends up in this version, and just in this version, the girl escapes. And she finds help and they come back. But everyone's already dead. And, well, everyone isn't dead. There's someone alive, but she kills them. I would have killed him too. I'm not knocking her for it at all. So yeah, it's really for its time, and this is like what got me into zombie movies. I love this movie. It's so good, and yeah, there you go. That's my that's what it's about.
Nice.
My favorite character.
Spoiler warnings.
My favorite character is the girl. I love that she was a badass. That's why I like this version. Alright.
So, my favorite character is Ben.
Ben, I am Ben's cool too.
Ben is hilarious.
You would have liked the original then.
I did see the
He's still
original
a
too.
badass.
I know he's really
Like he's
funny.
he's very same character. Romeo?
Yeah, Ben's character. Tony Todd, I love him.
Oh, I know.
Candyman.
Candyman is the one who plays Ben in this one. He's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He performed it really well. I wouldn't choose anybody else different. If you're gonna pick somebody that's I guess like carrying the torch of the original character, he was a perfect choice.
Yeah.
I would say they focused on in the original the black and white version, Ben was the main protagonist. It wasn't even really about the girl. Like the girl is there with her brother and he does die the same way. But it's really not about the girl. It ends up being about Ben.
Because he's the person who has the most sense.
Yeah. And then his confrontation with
The bigot.
Yeah, the bigot. Yeah. Favorite scene? Mario.
I will have to say, and this is because it's really funny to me, is when they're hammering everything down and the zombies are just breaking through the window. And I'm just like...
I know.
But it's funny because I'm like, are there no other houses? Like, none. Like, all of these zombies are congregating on this one location. And I'm just like, why are they all here? Like, is there nowhere else for them to go at all? And I mean, I remember from one or the original and from this one, it's essentially the same, but I don't remember like exactly why they're all coming to this house or what these zombies are based like. But it's regardless.
I mean, it's supposed to.
After Romeo, what's your favorite scene?
I mean, I guess the only thing I could say is just the part that differs from the original.
Like what?
I did like how it kind of it's different. Like it kind of changes things. Like the ending's different from the original, obviously. So I guess the choices that they made for that were interesting. So because in this version, Barbra is the one that made it, and they made her character instead of being a traumatized, basically vegetative, useless person. Like her character becomes essentially a badass sort of thing, which was interesting. So yeah, I mean that deviation, I guess, and it's not really a particular scene, but that deviation, because there's a lot of scenes where she kind of holds her own.
Yeah.
But definitely in that aspect, it's different. I thought that was interesting. Yeah. For a remake, to kind of do things differently.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite scenes is when it's just funny because when they come upstairs finally and the blonde's telling him over and over, and he's like, come on, and he kisses her. He's like, just do it, and he's very silly with that. He's like, just come on, and kisses her all fake and shit. And he's like, oh, and runs away. I'm like, What was that? I thought that was hilarious.
Enough to get them.
I thought that was hilarious. And then, of course, I think probably the gas pump scene. I thought that was funny.
Stupid, but it was funny.
And I would say the most disturbing parts of the movie are at the end, the very end, because like that's just so what we would do if that actually happened. I feel like we're just trashy enough to accomplish that. Don't you? I mean, like, considering what part of the world that was in, because they made some rule somewhere in the middle of nowhere where, just not a lot of people there except for one particular type of peoples. So it's like just such a trashy thing that they did. I'm like, yeah, that's what we do. Because I feel that's what we would do. We'd be there fighting the damn thing. Like, why?
My joke about the movie is, and it's the same joke that I have for Wreck. I just call it "Mistakes Were Made," the movie.
Oh my god! Right. Well, okay. So I did want to talk about, because the original version does differ in several ways. They actually watch the TV. They actually sit down and watch the TV, and they actually describe things that are happening else in the world, and they make it seem like this has been happening for a long time. Like this had something had started research, and it had just barely started to get to the population. So it's like, and they allude to it being a radiation, and the original that came back from Mars that crashed. And they talk about an elephant that they dissected, decapitated, and whatnot in a certain movie. So like they're describing a bunch of stuff, and it's the stories on the TV make it more real, because you think, oh, it's just this one little thing. No, this is the entire country. This is the entire country that's fucked up.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, it's not this one little tiny city. And I would say, yeah, the girl in the original, she becomes catatonic, more or less, until like a certain part where she finally just gets out of her head. I think Ben's in trouble, and she just jumps up and tries to save him, but in the process dies. And that's because her brother is a zombie and grabs her, and then she dies.
Yeah. So
it's like it starts with her, but you don't really care. I mean, that's why, like, when they read the remake, I loved it, because I'm like, oh, they made her badass, and she is catatonic for, like, a little tiny bit of time. But then, like, when Ben, like, hey, I need you to focus. I need you to take everything you're feeling right now, and I need you to put it aside, because we need to survive this, And her, like, it clicks, and then she's like, okay, let me get some boots, let me put some pants on, let me, like, get the gun, let me, like, she really starts, like, being part of it. And then, of course, like, having to deal with that racist idiot.
So, what's your least favorite scene?
My least favorite scene? Shit. You know what? When she's beating up that zombie, the one at the beginning, with the poker, it's just, it's such a, because it's like, obviously it's a rubber head, but it's so obviously a rubber head.
Yeah.
It's not making any kind of noise or crunching sound, or there's no blood coming out, but it's so obviously a prop. I'm like, oh, that would have been like so better if, like, but maybe like the practical effects weren't.
They weren't
like there, yeah. Because I mean, now we can have it looks straight up real when you're killing someone. So yeah, that's probably my least favorite scenes.
Your least favorite scene?
No, you weren't going next.
What's your least favorite scene?
Oh, okay. I don't really have a least favorite scene. I mean, because everything seems kind of competent. It's just because I think in this argument, I'm different from you, because I prefer the original better. I think it's trying to go for a more updated approach. Like, oh, let's see how this movie would be if it was updated. you know, because obviously this movie was made from the 60s, so obviously in some aspects it's kind of dated, but a lot of the stuff that kind of made the movie, that made the original special, weren't really here. Like, it was a missed opportunity that I didn't make this movie black and white. Because I feel like a lot of its atmosphere from the original was because it was, like, very black and white. It really tries to, like, do the whole, because I don't know if you guys know much history about George A. Romero, but he was a fan of, like, monster movies in, like, the 50s and, like, 60s, and that's where he kind of got that inspiration. So it kind of felt like that, but in a more, like, oh, the monster is his kind of, like, wouldn't say his creation, but Night of the Living Dead was basically the start of the modern zombie movies we know today, because that was the start of it. I mean, zombies movies existed before, but they were very different. They weren't what we see them now.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, you know, they're like these dead corpses that bite you and you get infected, and, you know, it spreads like a disease. So that was the game changer. And as for the remake, like, it wasn't offensive because it did remain faithful. I mean, the guy who directed it is Tom Savini, who is George A. Romero's makeup artist for all his Dead series movies. So, and he also pitched in to write the script. So, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, he wanted to be faithful to it, but that's kind of what it is. Like, there's nothing really kind of like much to it other than the ending is different and Barbara's character is, like, developed more, you know. But I guess my least favorite aspect to me was, like, I feel like a lot of the atmosphere of the original is not present here, and that to me was kind of made it creepy. I mean, there was even in the original where Barbara was, like, wandering the entire house and find, like, this, like, eaten up corpse that's, like, you know, just bones, but it looked kind of creepy because of the way that it was shot and because it was black and white, and that in it was like an atmosphere to where she's at. But I think they changed it to, oh, it's a zombie that falls over, like up in the attic, and then it was like a suicide body that was earlier. It was kind of like that, and then but it's like passed over. You didn't really like intake the atmosphere really because it doesn't give you much to kind of and also surprisingly this movie doesn't have a lot of zombie gore. The original had more zombie gore. Because there was a lot of like even though you could totally tell back in the day they were just eating like fake shit.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Like obviously it's like Kentucky Fried Chicken and stuff, and they and they put like chocolate syrup to make it look like blood because it was black and white, and black looks more like blood, or at least chocolate syrup looked more like blood at the time. But I was like I was kind of robbed from that in this one. I was like, oh, there's not much. I mean, there is a very brief scene where they're eating like the burned bodies of the car, but that was like from a distance. But that was but those are my like least favorite missed opportunities for me.
Right.
I would have to say my least favorite scene is the ending where you see Ben and you get to see him despair because he's like, crap, it was here all along.
Oh, yeah, the gas.
And it's like...
That's the same in the original.
Yeah.
It's like down there. They don't even bother to look.
I know. And it's just like...
Like, where would it be? Let's look everywhere in the house like this.
I can't say that wouldn't happen to us now. And I guess that's why it's so realistic. But it's also really sad because I really liked Ben and I really want him to pull through.
Well, he dies in the original.
I know.
But how he dies is different. Yeah. How he dies is a gunshot wound.
It was actually
so stupid.
It's actually pretty impactful.
I know.
I kind of prefer the ending. I kind of prefer
No, I'm not saying that. Like, it may be my least favorite scene, but it still did make the movie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, because I mean, it was definitely racial tensions were way higher back then.
Yeah.
So that was like the whole. I mean, even in this.
they're
it's
still
the same thing,
pretty high.
Except this time you get to kill the racists. You know. But yeah, I think that was like that was a good scene too.
Yeah.
Excuse me, y'all.
Okay, so ratings.
Yes, ratings for this movie.
Romeo.
I give it a 6. There was a lot of things that I feel like the original did better, but there's definitely some improvements, like makeup. Makeup is so much better in this, obviously, because it's, you know, decades are way far apart. You know, obviously we've come a long way when it comes to the makeup department, so I really like the effects of the zombies. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't offensive and really, I think he just wanted to make it faithful, but try to make it modern, give it like a little modern twist to it, which it's fine. But a lot of the elements that I liked about it were, I can't really give him merit to it because the original was the one that did it. You know, so it's like, you know, it wasn't different enough. I did like the ending where Barbra ends up becoming the hero and stuff like that, but there were just a lot of things. There weren't enough changes in it that I would give it a lot of credit to this movie. That I gotta give it to the original. It's that. So a 6.
Yeah.
Alright.
James, you first.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna give it a 9. Because I really, really, really like this movie. This is like one of the first zombie movies I ever watched. I actually watched this one before I watched the original. And that's maybe why I like it so much. I mean, I definitely did not like how the girl was in the first one. I thought, what is this movie about you? I don't know what this movie is about. Why are you here? You could please just die.
You're so mean.
Just go away. You're not accomplishing anything. She's just sitting there talking. She's literally mumbling gibberish the entire damn movie. And then when she does finally come out of her shit, like, she dies. Johnny! Oh, I'm dead now. Okay, well, there we go.
I mean, granted, put in her shoes, if you were to see your dead brother, you would probably be kind of shocked about it too, or at least kind of like stunned. And it's, for someone who's such a fragile character, at least in the original. Obviously, that's not her character in this one.
Yeah, but that I mean, race, women's issues, that was a whole other thing. Like, because you clearly the bigot of the movie, and both of them, is like a woman beater and stuff like that, and like
lots of
and a racist on top of it. So it's like
disgusting things.
It's like, you know, he wants to be complete control. In both movies, he acts like that. So it's like, what the fuck? Please just die. Mario, what's your number?
I'm giving it an 8.
All right.
Like, I saw the movie, it was great. I would say there's a lot of like trigger warnings around this movie, so just be kind of mindful if you're going to watch it.
There's some domestic abuse.
There's domestic abuse.
There's a lot of racial tension there.
Yes.
If you're sensitive to that.
But overall, it was a good movie. I did see this movie before I saw the original, so I had like, I get where Romeo is coming from and also get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And there are some things that I felt like they could have done a little bit better, like the makeup. But I understand there was a limitation at the time.
Like I said, like, you have to watch this and with the knowledge that, one, things weren't as advanced as they are now.
What I was getting to.
So it's like everything could be updated to make way more beautiful. But I still think that rubber head could have been done way better by anything. Like, anything could have done better than that. So yeah. You're beautiful.
Yeah. If you let me finish my sentence, you would have heard what I was trying to say.
You're so pretty.
Can I finish my sentence next time?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, with all of our ratings combined, it's basically a 76%.
So how does that stack up compared to the critics' reviews?
Well, I mean, everybody generally gave it like a good review. Like,
is that Rotten Tomatoes?
IMDb is a 6.9, so nice. that's a pretty decent one, you know. But just basically everybody just gave it like a decent review. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't offensive.
What did they give the original? I'm sure they gave it really good with Corner. I'm sure it's like...
9 Living Dead, so 19. Well, because I got to do 2 different searches, because... yeah. IMDb 6.9, Rotten Tomatoes 66%.
That's the original?
No, this is a remake.
No, the original. What'd they give the original?
Original would be... 60.
While he is looking at it.
Okay, there it is. Original IMDb is 7.9. Rotten Tomatoes 96%. Nice. Metacritic 89.
Yeah. It's a good movie. It's such a good movie, so...
I mean...
The thing you were going to say, hold on.
No, it's fine.
Oh,
go ahead.
Well, just a quick little thing. I mean, but during the time, it was kind of like a big thing that George hired like a black actor to be the main role.
Oh, yes. I do remember.
Especially during the time period. Because it was during, I would say the 60s was the civil rights movement around that time. But he didn't hire him for his looks. He just basically hired him because he was legitimately the best actor out of all the people.
Well, yeah, the original guy is
and he
so
was like,
good.
okay, cool. So
that's it. The original guy was so good. And that's why I think like they picked in the new one, they picked the right guy to do it. Because he's a really good actor. Like him and Candyman's really good. Yeah. Even though Candyman's really cartoony a little bit, it's still like his scene, him acting is really good. He's really done well. Okay.
All right. So let's move on.
All right. So now we're gonna review Rec. Or record
for some other countries.
Yes, 2 different ones.
That's the same thing.
Just chop it up into 2 different ones.
I'll just pause.